The information provided on this website and in our communications does not constitute financial advice and as such should not be relied upon. We recommend speaking to a qualified mortgage advisor to assess your individual circumstances before making any decisions. Your home may be repossessed if you do not keep up with payments on your mortgage.
Next question, what could it possibly be? What is a concessionary purchase and will this apply to me? Not really a question, that's two questions. Bit unfair now. But hey ho. A concessionary purchase, well, there's a couple of situations, well, there's a few situations that apply to that. One is if you are currently a tenant, you're paying rent and your landlord says, look, I'm wanting to sell the property, it's valued at X amount and I'm willing to accept a lower amount, and you can use that as a deposit. So the difference between the selling price and the value you can actually use as a deposit. Another common situation with that is where if you are buying a property from a family member, so it might be your mum, your dad, grandma, whatever, where you've got a family member who owns a house and wants to help you get on the housing ladder, and basically will sell a higher value property at a lower price to you to help you get on the ladder there. They're great, good way of getting a deposit without actually having cash. However, only certain lenders do these. Not all lenders do them. Quite a few lenders do them, but the majority of lenders do not do concessionary purchase. So, as with all answers on this quiz the broker, probably best bet is to speak to your own broker and let them know your situation through your fact find. That would a concessionary purchase apply to you? But they are absolutely brilliant for not using up cash, ready cash for a deposit. So they can help, especially first-time buyers, get on that ladder. So they are very, very useful. So that's what a concessionary purchase is. Next question, can't wait. Let's see it. Can I remortgage a property I have just purchased? Well, I think if I had 1 pence for every time I said it depends, I'd probably have 10 pence by now, to be fair. But it does depend. Some lenders are okay with what we call that. Doing that is called Day1 remortgage. So I'm talking about it for a standard residential property, so not buy-to-let property, but a standard residential. There are some lenders who will consider it. There's not a lot, so again, speak to your broker, because depending on who your lender is, for residential properties, they don't tend, as a general rule, to allow it. There's normally has to be a gap, normally between 6 and 12 months. If you're looking for extra money for any work that needs doing, further advances, which are a different thing than remortgage, further advances can sometimes be available. Normally about sort of between 30 days and again 6 months after you've completed for any work that you might want to do, subject to loan to value restrictions, of course, but any work that you might need to do to the house. But Day1 remortgages for residential properties, there are some lenders out who do that, but in the main, not all of them. Day1 remortgages for buy-to-let properties, so if you're a small portfolio landlord who has maybe 1 or 2 properties and you're looking to sort of flip it, so you've sold it and now you're wanting to remortgage, again it's the same thing. There are some lenders who are okay with it and some lenders who aren't. So back to it, it depends on what your circumstances are, what the property is and who the lender is. So back to it, speak to your broker, or even better, quiz your broker. Next question, third and final one. Let's have a look. What could it possibly be? I want lower payments. Oh dear. Can I do interest only? I think like all, I'm going to preempt it seems like I'm going to preempt every answer with well, it depends, speak to your broker, but it really does depend. In fairness, everybody wants lower payments. And yes, the temptation is, in order to do that, we'll just pay the interest and just allow over the years that the house price inflation will take over. So what I mean by that is, if you do a mortgage, say over 25 years, in 25 years the value will hopefully increase and then you pay off the mortgage. However, the world collapsed with those things. So basically interest only now is available. Few conditions. I'm assuming that you're wanting lower payments. I'm assuming you're talking about your residential mortgage. You can do interest only if you've got a residential mortgage in most cases, or in some cases I should say, but you need there's certain qualifying criteria. So a lot of lenders you need to be on a minimum income. Some lenders you don't, but you need to have what's called a credible repayment vehicle in place. So in other words, you need to have either a savings account or an investment account that shows that there's going to be money there to pay off the mortgage at the end of the term. And in fairness, most people tend not to be in that situation, so it's difficult. You also, with a lot of lenders now, because of the stress test, which I dare say will be another question that will come up at some time, because the stress tests that are now on the mortgage market for mortgages, you need to be on a minimum income. So again, which normally precludes a lot of people for that. Not all lenders. Some lenders you don't need to be on a minimum income. You don't need to be earning a certain amount for interest only, and they're very relaxed with their criteria. But again, it's always best that you speak with your own broker, because they will know your situation and whether it's going to be suitable for you. You know, I mean, here it says I want lower payments. Well, I'd like lower payments, but if it's not in my best interests to do that, I might not. It might not be the best thing to do. So that's why it's always better to take good advice, proper advice. And a broker will do that. They'll look at your. I can feel the klaxon coming. They'll take your whole situation and will have a discussion with you and work out what's going to be in your best interests. So if lower payments are in your best interests, then yeah, that would be an option to something to be discussed. Interest only is very, very common on buy-to-let mortgages. So if it's not a residential mortgage that you're talking about, most people do tend to put their mortgages, buy-to-let mortgages on the interest only to generate an income, and then rely on that house price inflation that I mentioned earlier to help pay the loan back at the end of the term. So instead of viewing your house as your home and somewhere to live, you view it as like an investment. So all you're doing is taking your money, investing it in some bricks and mortar, and getting a return for it. That's the way that works. So yeah, interest only. It is possible to lower your payments. You can do it, but it depends totally on your situation and whether it's going to be in your best interest.